Hey everyone, Tony here. So I just thought I would put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. This is going to be an interestingly edited video. We were having some very serious Skype issues when we recorded this podcast. So there's a lot of cuts. Everything is kind of merged together. I cut out pretty much all of the downtime that we had because of Skype issues, but it's going to look a little funny. We got lucky, and most of the issues happened around spots where it was easy to kind of link together where we stopped and where we started again. But you'll notice like weird jumps in the cameras. Maybe sometimes voices will sound a little different. Um, Hopefully, we'll have this solved by the time we record the next one. We have no idea what happened. Skype was just not cooperating with us. So, thanks for the patience and enjoy the show. Hello, and welcome to the Great Northern Game Night. I'm your host, Tony,
I'm Matt.
and we're here to talk about E3 mostly. Um, one quick little housekeeping thing before we start into E3. Starting next week, we are going to be streaming these on Sunday night instead of Friday night,
Yes, that's the
and
plan.
not this late at all. We fucked up and we weren't prepared to start until just now. So
Yeah, that's
um,
actually kind of the point because on Sundays, I mean, both me and Tony don't work as late as we do during the weekdays, and like nobody does anything on Sundays anyway. So
yeah. So I don't know exactly what time we're going to be starting, but we're going to start at a specific time. Follow the Twitter for that.
yes, at GNGN podcast.
Yeah, and it'll be in like the video and stuff. So pretty much all we're going to be talking about today is E3. I don't even think either of us have really played anything new. Um,
Not really.
I was messing around a little bit. We were messing around with the Secret World, which is an MMO, but we didn't.
Yeah,
I don't know if we even played enough of that to really talk about. So
not a whole lot. I mean, it's pretty cool for what it is. It's nothing new though.
yeah,
We got a lot more new stuff to talk about tonight, though. In fact, too much to talk about. Honestly,
yeah,
we're gonna try and squeeze as much of this as we can into our hour time slot here. Um, yeah. Do you want to start with Bethesda?
yeah. Hold on. Let's announce everybody that had a conference.
Good
Um,
idea.
we covered the Rift one last time because it had already happened when we recorded that one, I believe. Uh,
Oh yeah, totally forgot
so
about.
there was Bethesda, Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, Nintendo, and then there was a PC gaming show, which apparently was a massive shit show, and we're probably not even going to talk about that because there wasn't a ton announced at it.
Yeah,
From I didn't see it, I didn't catch it, but from what I understand, it was like pretty much everybody that came out, like Square Enix came out, and they had a couple things that had already been announced at other, and they pretty much just said the exact same stuff. So
yeah, and that was actually kind of funny because during at least the Sony conference, the Square Enix games that were announced, they would always say like first on PS4 or only on PS4, and then there would be a little asterisk and also PC.
yeah, well,
So they all showed up at the PC conference like Hitman and stuff.
that's the thing is, people will say only on this, but that only applies to consoles. It doesn't even apply to like PC.
Yeah,
But so Bethesda, I think, had the first conference of E3.
they had the first official one if we're not counting the Oculus thing.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also this is the first time that Bethesda's had any sort of E3 presence, really. Uh, so I mean, obviously the big point there is Fallout 4.
That was the big
Uh,
ticket item. Yeah.
yeah, Fallout 4, a game that neither of us should be getting excited for this early, but we are.
It's it can't be helped, and I'll tell you why. It's not because of anything that they showed about the game. I don't think that's it at all. I think it's because Todd Howard is an amazing salesman.
Yeah, Todd Howard
That's
knows
the
how to
big thing.
sell a game.
That man is fan. You know what? I'm not even ashamed to say. I went back and I watched him talk about Fallout 4 3 times, just because he's so charismatic. It was exciting to hear him talk about it, and
Yeah,
he seems so genuine. He makes me want to buy his games, dude. And I don't care if he's kind of maybe overhyped his games in the past because I can see why it works. He's good at what he does.
we talked about this after the conference. Actually, another person
Yeah.
that's really good at that is Randy Pitchford from Gearbox. Does he even still work at Gearbox? I feel like I haven't heard anything from Randy Pitchford in a long time.
I think he does. I'm pretty sure, like he's the CEO or something, isn't he?
Yeah, I believe so.
But they haven't done very much lately. They've been kind of out of the news for a while. There's been Borderlands happening with
Yeah,
Tales from the Borderlands, but I don't think they're handling that. That's a different studio, isn't it?
yeah, that's Telltale.
Yeah,
Think.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yep.
it is. Yeah, it's Telltale. Yeah.
Yeah. The main reason that we were both so hyped for the first Borderlands was Randy Pitchford talking about it, basically. So Fallout 4, they the reason that I'm excited aside from Todd Howard is they showed a lot of stuff that is actually like new. The original trailer, it showed nothing really new. It just kind of showed like it showed like it was like in-engine footage, but it wasn't gameplay footage.
It was like a cinematic trailer,
Yeah,
basically.
it was
Yeah.
essentially that, and it was kind of worrying. It was like, this doesn't look that different from, Fallout 3 in New Vegas. What's going on here?
Yeah.
At E3, they showed gameplay footage. The UI is different. It's a lot more streamlined. The animations are kind of better. Still not good, but I mean, for a Bethesda game, they're not bad. um, they showed weapon modification, which is like crazy amazing. There's like 700 weapon mods in the game and 200 weapons, I think they
Yeah.
said.
It
You
was
can
I think it was 50 base weapons,
50
and
base
then
weapons.
and yeah, 700 mods. That I've seen a lot of people kind of saying that, oh, it's going to be little incremental changes like stat boost, and yeah, I mean obviously it is. If you're going to have so many mods,
Yeah,
then the difference between each one is going to be that much smaller the more of them you have. But I think more is better than fewer. Yeah.
they didn't. I mean, the way they changed the weapons makes me think it's not necessarily going to be incremental. Like there were add-ons that were like turning the guns into like rail guns and sniper
Yeah. Yeah.
rifles.
They changed how the guns actually work, like the beam splitter for the laser to make it like a tri-beam rifle, I assume, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, obviously there will be functional changes too.
Yep. They showed you can basically build your own colony in the game and attract like vendors and NPCs.
Yeah.
You have to build. It's like a tower defense kind of like city builder thing. You have to put up these turrets to fight off raiders. It's like super cool looking. Like all this new stuff is what has me excited for the game.
Yeah.
Um,
I think a lot of people were worried that it was going to be like another instance of New Vegas,
yeah.
where it's basically just like a Fallout 3 expansion. But they were working on it for so long, it would be retarded if it came out and it looked anything like the original game.
Yeah, Todd Howard basically said that they've been working on this since Fallout 3 came out. So,
Yeah.
which
That was one
which
of my
makes
favorite parts of the
which makes me
conference.
wonder where'd Fallout New Vegas come from then? I don't. Was
Well,
that
that was
just?
no, that was made by Obsidian.
Oh, was
They,
it? Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why they didn't mention it actually, because they're like, yeah, we did Fallout 3, and then we made Skyrim, and now we're making this.
It's like
They
you.
don't like
I
to talk
think
about New Vegas.
you forgot about a Fallout game in there. So they showed the dog, which who gives a shit? Lots of people apparently,
Yeah,
according to the fan reaction from the crowd. But what they did show with the dog is the ability. They didn't say specifically for all companions. They only showed it with the dog, but the ability to direct your companions basically. So like
yeah,
he would like press a button and the dog would run forward. The character's fully voice acted, which is awesome. Uh, Actual character creation and customization, like it's like the Super Mario 64 main menu. Like you just like pull the nose and it gets bigger.
yeah. It seemed like it was a lot more versatile than the old ones. Like the fucking Fallout New Vegas creator is so garbage.
Um,
It's terrible.
we'll still see
So
if they've got Bethesda faces. So
yeah,
um,
I feel like they might, but it'll just be a different kind of
yeah,
face, like a higher fidelity one.
classic Bethesda with the like ugliest faces known to man.
Yeah. So that was pretty exciting, and they talked about some other Fallout stuff too. They got to, of course, even playing Fallout Shelter, and
Yes.
I can't wait for that. I know it's coming out on Android. I'm an Android guy myself, and they've confirmed it's coming out. Apparently not for a couple months, so I'm a little bummed because it does look pretty fun.
It's
And but yeah,
saying that
I'm
I'm
still looking forward
saying
to
that
it.
I'm playing it is a bit of a stretch. Every couple hours I turn it on and spend about 10 minutes like collecting all my resources and building new stuff, and then
Yeah,
I lock
I
my
guess
phone
it
again.
is that kind of game,
But
isn't it?
yeah, so it's pretty cool though for what it is.
And I think they mentioned there's a card game as well. Is that like I'm remembering this right? Yeah, wasn't there a
I
Fallout?
don't remember. I missed
Maybe
the
not.
first
I
part
might
of the
be.
Fallout
I might be
presentation.
thinking of a different one. I thought there was a card game, but there were a couple of them actually. Like there's a Star Wars card game. There's another card game. Card games
Something
are
I
Like,
remember a card game mention,
yeah.
and it was
Anybody?
from
Does anybody?
Bethesda. It was from Bethesda, but I don't remember what game it was for. I
I
don't
feel
know.
like it was probably Fallout if it was a card game.
Not super important.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for Fallout. I can't really think of anything else that was shown that I'm like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we hit
super
all the main
sticking out.
stuff. I think
Yeah,
everybody's probably, even if you're not excited for the game in the sense that you think it'll be good, I think people are still kind of looking forward to see just how good or bad it'll be,
yeah.
because Fallout's a pretty big deal these days. Um, Doom was shown as well.
Doom looks really good.
I'm looking forward to that map editor, and I'll tell you why. It's because that map editor reminds me a lot of the Time Splitters one,
Oh,
which was pretty bare bones, but it's an older game, right? But I had so
yeah.
much fun with that thing on the GameCube. Oh,
My
so
my big map editor experience was the first Far Cry on Xbox 360.
oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
they were small, like you couldn't make a really big map, but me and my friend would spend like hours making these maps, and then we'd play them for like 5 minutes, and then be like, let's go make another map. um, Doom, aside from like the map editor, they didn't really like. There was nothing like revolutionary in the Doom stuff. It was a Doom game. It just looked
Yeah,
really fucking pretty.
it looked great.
Um,
It looked fun.
yeah,
You get to spend a few hours just
and I
like
mean,
brutally destroying demons with your hands, and
I don't
that's
know
kind of
that there's much to refine in the Doom sort of how Doom plays at this point. Like, there's not much I think they could add that wouldn't feel like they're just bogging the game down with unnecessary features. Like,
yeah.
that's
Well,
what
there
Doom is.
was
Doom is just a first-person shooter game. You're just running
yeah.
around shooting demons. And I don't know that it needs any more features than that, or it would feel really, like, bloated and bogged down.
There was one aspect of the game, like Doom in general, that our buddy Ben was talking about earlier on, shortly after the conference, I think. And they showed a little bit of this in the Doom 4 gameplay that they were showcasing, but it's the puzzle solving aspect, or not puzzle solving so much as just kind of the pathfinding. Picking up keys, trying to find out the correct route to take, backpedaling, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
backtracking rather. And they did show off a little bit of it, although instead of a key, like you picked up a dude's hand.
Yeah.
But so hopefully they're not, getting rid of that element of it, which he was kind of worried about. And I think with the kind of audiences that people are pandering to these days, it's justified. It's justified worry. But hopefully they haven't forgotten that part.
Yeah. I don't know. I always like for modern day games that are similar to Doom, like even though it's not a first person perspective, I always kind of like think of Dead Space as like I mean, it's got extra features, but it kind of
Yeah,
reminds me of Doom. Like the gritty like environments, dark like demon filled areas. Uh
yeah,
you're just shooting at aliens basically to kill them. Uh and I mean, like I said, I think that Doom is kind of good where it's at. You know what I really want to do is I would love to play that new Doom on like the Oculus Rift. That would
yeah.
be awesome. And actually, our friend Tiernan, we were talking about this earlier. He's really excited for VR in like shooting games, and I'm not really because I'm not like super big on shooting games. But I was thinking like competitive shooting games like Halo, Counter Strike, games like Doom. That would be amazing in VR because it's already a first person game. Like all they would have to do is take the UI and put like the edges of like a helmet on it so it looks like you're wearing like the Doom Marine helmet. Oh
Oh
my
man, so
god,
many
it'd be
games are
so
going to do
good.
that. So many games.
It'd be
Anything where you're
so
with some
good.
kind of space marine, that's going to be happening,
Oh
man.
yeah.
That's going to be a staple of VR shooters is to actually put
Oh,
the helmet on.
that's gonna be cool. Yeah, I don't think Doom is coming out this year though. I don't remember. I didn't see all of the Doom conference or all of the Doom part of the conference,
Mm.
but I don't remember them talking about a release date. I think they just had like a cinematic trailer anyway. I don't think there was any gameplay in that.
I feel like they mentioned something, but like I watched the conference start to finish, but I I didn't write it down. I don't
Must
remember.
must not have been that important then.
Yeah,
The other big thing that Bethesda had was Dishonored 2, which I know
yeah.
you don't really care about because you didn't play the first Dishonored.
I just haven't gotten
Um,
into it yet.
I
Yeah,
played it. I wasn't like super crazy about it. I'm really bad at stealth type games. Like I just end up killing everybody, and I don't play it in a stealthy way at all. But
yeah.
Dishonored 2 looks really cool. In the first Dishonored, you are basically trying to rescue the Empress's daughter, who is also your main character Corvo's daughter. It's like heavily implied
Ooh.
but never confirmed in the first Dishonored that she is your character's daughter, and that you were like in love with the Empress. In the second one, you play as either Corvo or the girl grown up, and from what I was seeing, they have different powers, which is really cool because it's like two completely different ways to play through the game.
Well, that's good. It gives you a real reason to experiment with each
I
rather than stick with one.
I think Emily has like a grappling hook. I can't remember.
Well,
But
it looked like she had. There were two things. There was something like a grappling hook, but she also had this kind of smoke form ability. And I don't know if this is the common type of thing in Dishonored or not because I haven't played it. But that also seemed to let her kind of go from place to place pretty quickly.
Yeah, Corvo has a blink, but it's literally like you just blink to a spot,
Yeah.
basically. So the Dishonored universe is really cool. It's like this crazy, like it's almost steampunk, I would say.
Yeah.
There, it definitely has some heavy steampunk elements in it. Like Corvo's mask is like this completely unnecessary. Like when he puts the mask on, it has like all these like magnifying glasses and stuff that like slide down for your scope. So it's definitely really heavily influenced by that. It's like totally this dystopian future type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really like the setting. I just suck at stealth games. So maybe like playing as Emily is less stealth focused, and that would be cool. I can't remember anything else that Bethesda showed, if they showed
No.
anything.
Oh, that was the notable stuff.
Yeah.
They mentioned, they went into detail about some of the things, but go back and watch conferences.
Yeah.
Some good shit.
We're just touching the stuff we care about, by the way. So
Yeah, yeah. This is and
Or
even
big
with that,
things.
we're gonna have trouble.
if there was something big, we'll cover it, but probably not in detail.
Well, the next one or the next conference, if I have the schedule right, was Microsoft.
Yes.
And I know I think you and I don't care a whole lot about them, but
I
they
don't
did have
really,
some cool stuff with HoloLens.
I don't have an Xbox One, but
Me neither.
from what I am reading, people are saying that Microsoft, in terms of like what they showed, kind of won the conferences because they showed a lot of cool new stuff.
Yeah.
They showed Halo 5, obviously. They showed multiplayer gameplay footage of that, I think, which they hadn't shown
Yep.
before. There's some weird stuff with Halo 5. They announced this mode called Warzone, which is 12v12, which is massive for Halo, which is I think it maxed out at 8v8 in like Big Team Slayer. I used to play a lot of Halo. But
Yeah.
from what I was reading, it's like a mix of human players and AI players, which is weird to me and like seems unnecessary because obviously it's not 12v12 if some of those 12 are computer players.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot less power to put a computer player in than to load in a person from another country.
That's probably
So-
why they did it, like to simulate a larger battle.
Yeah, but it seems to me like I don't know how many AI, like there's no details about it basically. They just talked about it and said, "Hey, this is what's going to happen in it." But like I would
Yeah.
imagine it's going to be like 8v8 max with computer players, in which case just keep the 8v8. Gears of War 4. Oh, actually, sorry. Halo 5.
Good
Halo
one.
5, they announced that all of the maps that they release as DLC will be free this time, which is a big deal for Halo.
That's pretty
'cause,
cool.
previously with Halo, the map packs all cost you money. And, I mean, once a map pack came out, nobody was playing the non-DLC playlists. It was hard to find a match, so...
Oh yeah. That's not just a big thing for Halo. That's a big thing for like fucking Microsoft.
Yeah. So Gears of War 4 was their other, like, really big game that they
Yeah.
announced.
Oh,
Did
hang on. I have to correct you. It's not Gears of War 4. It's
Sorry.
Gears 4.
Gears 4.
Just that.
No more war.
There's this
The
trend.
war's
They're
over.
like, yeah, it's just Gears. That's all it is. It's just a game about the dudes. Sitcom.
Have you ever played the game Cogs on Steam? It's like an indie puzzle game. That's what it's going to be. It's
That's
just
all it is.
It's a sequel to that, actually. I didn't like. I gotta be honest with you. The Gears franchise wore thin for me after like the second one.
Yeah.
It was really cool at the time. It was like basically the advent of the cover-based shooter. Gears 1 was the cover-based shooter. It's what made it popular, and now every game does it. So there's some things that Gears does that I really like. The active reload system is really cool to me. So you reload your gun, and you can let it reload normally, but it brings this bar up. I don't know how much Gears
Yeah.
you played.
No. Yeah. I played
And if you-
a bit on the 360. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though.
And if you hit the reload in the right window, you get a faster reload, basically. So
Yeah.
I really like that kind of thing. I like the big set pieces that Gears brings to the games. Like, you like fight on like the back of this train. You're fighting the big bad guy, and like things are whizzing by you on the train while you're riding it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't did because I didn't see any of Microsoft's conference. I didn't see most of these conferences because my time zone is really weird for watching these. I am 4 hours behind Eastern time, so I was at work for most of all the conferences.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know
I
if
saw.
they.
I watched it through to the end. Most of it didn't really interest me because it was a lot of just like the typical Gears and
I
Halos.
didn't figure they showed much. Like, I think they're pushing the Horde mode again, which Gears is also the one that basically invented the Horde mode shooter.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we talked about this last week about some games. You gotta do it better. Even though your game is the one that started it, and you should technically be able to rest on your laurels and go, hey, we're the original. You can't. You gotta innovate, or it's just gonna be
Yeah.
another Horde shooter. So
But they do it really well. That was my favorite
yeah.
part of Gears actually.
Oh
Was
yeah.
just playing Horde mode over and over. It's good
Definitely.
times.
Um, Microsoft is the king of like the co-op shooter for me. Like Gears, Halo, all those games that have like a really cool co-op campaign that you can play through. You don't get a
Yeah.
lot of those on the other systems. PC sometimes, PS4 not really at all. Um, so that's like the one thing that I'm gonna miss about not having an Xbox. But
Yeah. Eh.
whatever. I'm sure those games will be coming to Windows at some point because Microsoft definitely seems to be pushing Windows gaming with Windows
Yep.
10. Like
Oh, they're definitely doing it.
they're
Dude. That's
super focused on it.
They talked about that a lot, actually. Although I might be mixing up my conferences here because there's been a lot of talk about that even outside of E3. But they're doing this
Yeah.
whole business where they want to like make Xbox Live not just a console platform. They want to merge it into their phones. Like Windows Phone, they want to merge it, of course, into Windows 10 as well. So there's going to be a lot of games coming out for Xbox One that are also fully playable.
That's
on
what I
Windows
was
PC.
that's what I was reading is that they're trying to make it so basically Xbox games can also be played on your PC, which is
Yeah.
awesome for me because I'm not going to buy an Xbox One unless the price drops really significantly. I'm not really planning on it. I can't afford two consoles. I can't afford to buy games for both the consoles. I can't afford to buy the online for both the consoles. It's just not feasible for me. So, they announced a bunch of other stuff like a new Fable game, Forza 6. Ooh, some race cars. Cool. Who cares? I'm sure. Now, that's kind of mean. Lots of people love the Forza franchise because it's super realistic. It's like hyper realism.
It
But
is. Well, I think racing games like Forza and Gran Turismo, Need for Speed. I think there's definitely a certain audience for that, and kind of like
Yeah.
with sports games, where game to game, there's not a ton of innovation. Like at the end of the day, you're still playing just a fucking race, right?
Yeah.
And that's all it is. Well, no, I shouldn't say that's all it is. Of course, that's not true. But like that's why you play. Right?
we're trying not to offend anybody
Um,
here by saying we don't care about these games.
If you can't tell, I don't play a lot of racing games. I
Yeah.
really don't. But I feel like that just talking to people that do play a lot of racing games and seeing how people react to the online stuff, that seems to be the sentiment, right?
Yeah.
And you play because you like to collect the cars and because the graphics are awesome. You love to customize them and stuff like that. That's a big appeal of these games.
It's weird to me how it changed so much. In the PS2 era, the arcade driver was king. Need for Speed, Midnight
Yeah.
Club, Burnout, all those games where like, you tap the brake and you're power sliding around a curve at 100 miles an hour, which is the most ridiculous fucking thing. But now it's all about like the Forza, Gran Turismo, you're going 60 but you have to drop to 25 to make a turn, which that's not for me. I like the crazy drift. I'm not really into the I don't want to slow down to 20 miles an hour to take a turn. I do that in fucking real life every day.
Yeah.
I want
You
to
gotta keep that speed.
I want to
That's what it's
drift
all
a
about.
curve at 140 miles an hour. But it's weird that all at once it changed. Like it wasn't even a gradual thing. It was like one day everybody
Yeah.
was super into these sim games, like the super realistic driving games.
Yeah, man. Euro Truck Simulator.
Oh god.
That's the shit right there.
So yeah, there was a bunch of little stuff for Microsoft that I don't really care about, but I'm sure lots of people do. And
Yeah.
then they showed a HoloLens Minecraft
That
thing.
that was the big deal for me.
It was
Man.
so cool.
That was so cool.
So they had this camera set up with like a HoloLens on it. So it was basically recording what was happening as you would see it through a HoloLens. And it was
Yeah.
amazing. They pulled up this Minecraft world and like they showed you, them playing in the Minecraft world. It was just a regular Minecraft world. And then he switches over to the HoloLens and the camera pans to this table and the whole
He's
world
a
just
god.
fucking it just generates on this table like this hologram of the world. And
Man.
they they couldn't really show it well, but he was like looking at spots on the table and like calling down lightning strikes in that specific spot just by looking at it. He wasn't like pointing a cursor or anything. He's just like
Yeah.
look at this spot and call a fucking lightning strike down. Oh my god.
And you know what that is? There's a couple games that have kind of talked about doing something like this where you have a director mode. I think Left 4 Dead was going to have it at some point. It might have it now.
Left
I
4 Dead
really
has it, but it's not
But
controlled by a player. It's like an
okay.
AI.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's an AI director.
Yeah.
But how many games would benefit from having a human director there, and not just with mouse and keyboard control or like a gamepad? If you could actually literally reach into the playing field and do shit with your hands,
Yeah.
that's fucking awesome.
And there are
That's why I'm
games
so
like
excited
that.
about this.
There are a lot of games coming out like that, and there are some
Yeah.
games already out like that, where there's a roguelike called Delve, I think it is, and it's
Yeah.
a 5-player game. 4 people are playing the roguelike, and 1 person is running the dungeon. So they're like pulling
Like
monsters
putting the
in.
traps and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Man, that's awesome.
that kind of thing is really cool to me. There's even there's a D&D client basically on Steam. It's called Fantasylands, and it basically
So-
gives 1 person like DM power, and they can like control this whole game as it's happening. It's sort of like if you've ever played D&D on like Roll20 or something, but it's all automated. Roll20 isn't really automated. Like you still have to like make up the story and bring in the
Yeah.
sprites yourself, make the maps. Fantasylands is like a hybrid of a video game and a D&D adventure. So it's basically like you're playing a video game with a game master.
One day we'll get to the point where you can truly play D&D as it was meant to be
Oh, yeah.
played on a machine. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, one day you won't have to do any of this like interacting with regular humans to play D&D.
Yeah, no, looking at, hey, we already skipped the looking at people's faces part of it anyway. Just do that
Yeah.
with Skype.
So other than that, they announced that there's some extra stuff coming for Minecraft. Like they were gonna announce some more they snuck that in on Microsoft's press conference. They're like, by the way, later we're gonna give away some more Minecraft news somewhere else. Like I can just imagine somebody in the back like, get them off the fucking stage right now. Okay, so we're probably gonna skim over Ubisoft stuff because we don't really care about it all that much, and we're running out of time.
Yeah.
So, quick, EA. We're jumping right into EA here. They showed Battlefront. Looks beautiful. Looks fucking amazing. Does not look like a Battlefront game to me at all.
No.
I will play it. I'm probably gonna buy it, and I'm gonna play it because it looks cool as shit. But it looks more to me like Battlefield with lightsabers and laser pistols than a Battlefront game. It does look really cool. I'll say that. I'm impressed with it. I wish they hadn't called it Battlefront, though.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Now, I didn't play the original ones, so I don't have as much of like a bias, I guess, against what I expected to be,
Hang on 1 second.
other than Battlefield.
Stream. Someone's saying stream's dead.
Really?
Hang on. Let me refresh it.
Why? Why?
Let me see here. Stream's not dead. I can fucking see it right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, they're talking about Battlefront that I was just talking about like
Yes.
a second ago. Okay.
Battlefront. Looks good. Wish it wasn't called Battlefront. Just because it carries a bias with it that it's not going to live up to because they cut a bunch of stuff. But
Yeah.
as a Star Wars game, it looks really cool. So
Well, that's what happens when you try to revive a beloved franchise, though. There's always going to be people that aren't happy or things that you just do wrong, unfortunately. Mass Effect. Mass Effect
Yes.
Andromeda.
they didn't really show anything about it. Just a trailer.
Yeah.
The trailer looks cool, but you can't really judge from a cinematic trailer like that. Like, it was just a an N7 operative in a spaceship, and that was about it.
Just doing spacey things. Yeah.
Yeah.
At the very least, I've mentioned before on like one of the previous episodes, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I like Mass Effect despite some issues it had, and yeah, they're bringing back the Mako, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll be a better experience this time around.
Yep. We have Unravel written on the outline. I don't know anything. I don't even know what that is, to be honest with you.
I will tell you. So,
Okay.
it's literally just it's a platformer, and it's one of those kind of artsy.
Oh,
looking
you know what?
ones,
No, I do know what that is.
You've seen it. You've seen
yeah.
it. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it looked interesting. I guess not much
Yep.
to actually say about it, except it looked like it's probably going to be fun. I think.
The second Mirror's Edge looks cool. The first one was really cool. The first one hurt my eyes, though. That's just a me problem, but I couldn't play it for more than like an hour without my eyes starting to hurt because of like the weird stark color contrast. But I'll give the second one a shot because the first one was cool. The first one had some quirks. Obviously, with a game like that, sometimes the animations look weird depending on if you're running in a different spot or something. Like, if you're running against a weird wall, the animations look really wonky. But
yeah, I wonder if they mounted like a GoPro on someone's head and actually had them try to do the wall runs and the jumps and stuff to see how it would look. That wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. The animations were like the high point of that game. Like all the climbing animations and stuff looked really like realistic. Like it wasn't just like, she's clinging on a ledge and then she just fucking vaults up onto the ledge like she's, a space marine or something. She like reaches her arm up and like has to crawl her way up the ledge, which I thought was really cool because most games, you just like fucking pull yourself up the ledge like you're Superman or something.
That was pretty good. And then the original game, in some sections, you had the option to pick up someone's gun and shoot it a couple times.
I think
you weren't meant to carry it with you. You could just like throw it away afterwards and keep running because you couldn't really run with them or do your acrobatics. But apparently, somebody in the presentation said something along the lines of Faith doesn't need guns at all. And they didn't specifically say that there won't be any gunplay in this one, but that kind of implies that there won't be any, which I think is pretty cool. Like, obviously, you're not going to play Mirror's Edge hoping to shoot people, right?
Nobody does the gunplay.
You want to do it for the parkour. So I think that just means that they're going to focus on that and just make it a pure running game, which is pretty cool. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. It's a long time coming.
I think that's it from EA, aside from, sports.
What's done with EA?
Wait, hold on. We didn't even talk about Pele.
We mentioned sports. It was in there. It's implied, right?
Yeah, that was like this weird 30-minute segment where Pele came out.
He came out and was Pele for a few minutes.
Yeah. Ubisoft, they announced a bunch of... there's a few things. We'll just touch on these really, really quick. Second South Park game in that same RPG style as the first one. Fractured Butthole. That looks really cool. The first one was really good because it's like one of those old school RPGs where you have to like time your button presses to do more damage and stuff and to block, which is like really cool, that active RPG style. So I'm looking forward to that. For Honor is like a medieval fighting game where like it's like Vikings versus samurais versus ninjas or some shit. It just looks like another chivalry game to me. I'm not really...
I think it looks interesting, or kind of fun. I've never played Chivalry though.
Yeah,
I'm getting a lot of that actually. There's so many games that are coming out with like, it's sort of the same thing as what's been done a million times, and I've just never been around for them. So I'm like, all right, cool. That's kind of the story for Ubisoft though.
Assassin's Creed, but they didn't show anything particularly engaging for that. It just looked like an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah.
Lots of Tom Clancy stuff. The Rainbow Six Siege game looks cool because I don't know if you ever played Rainbow Six Vegas.
I did.
But
I did.
Terrorist Hunt mode is like the only reason I ever bought those games. I never really played the main story or the multiplayer at all, just Terrorist Hunt, which is like this hard as nails co-op mode. It's really fucking difficult. Where you just have to hunt down a certain number of terrorists on a map, and that's it. So I'm pretty excited because they're bringing that back, and that was like the thing that I was most excited for. The Ghost Recon looks really good, but that's not really my style of game. So
this one, I don't know if the other ones were like that or not, but it's Ghost Recon Wildlands, and it almost reminds me of Far Cry, not Far Cry, Just Cause. Yeah,
Just Cause. That's
just kind of bombing around an island, blowing stuff up. Yeah, but other than that, that's I mean, I thought it looked cool. Not pumped for it, but I'm sure it'll be, a good game.
Yeah.
Let's see
Sony's
what's
was next, I
next.
think.
A lot of stuff happened with the Sony conference. A lot of cool
Sony
stuff.
conference was the winner for me, but that's just because I like Sony more, and like the type of
Yeah.
games that I play were the ones that came out of that. Uh,
I
the
thought other than Bethesda and the Fallout talk, the Sony conference was for me at least the most entertaining.
yeah.
Definitely. It was really, really fun seeing like the crowd reactions and stuff like that to those particular announcements.
Well, they opened with The Last Guardians, so that's
Yeah.
they decided they were going for a really strong opener, apparently.
Yep. And
Um,
then people were saying, "Oh yeah, everything after that, they can't possibly, top that. They opened too strong."
they opened with Last Guardian, which is cool, but I honestly I never played Ico or Shadow of the Colossus, so
I played a little bit of Shadow of the Colossus at a buddy's house. That's basically it. It's again one of those games that just looks like it's going to be really, really cool and atmospheric. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably pick that up at some point.
yep,
Which reminds me that I need to go back and play Eco and Shadow of the Colossus as well
yeah.
at some point.
Uh, they did more Battlefront. They showed some more Battlefront stuff. Uh,
Yep.
looks
Yep.
cool. They showed Horizon Zero Dawn, which looks fucking really cool.
I'm looking forward to that game. And I know some people don't like when you compare it to Monster Hunter, but dude, it's Monster Hunter. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously there'll be differences, but you're hunting fucking giant creatures. They're
Yeah.
robots. It's in the
Oh,
future.
I love
Oh,
robots.
yeah, me too.
Um,
Oh,
they showed
Shenmue 3. Shenmue 3.
yeah,
Right. Huge, huge.
Shenmue 3, the game that Sony really wants to get in on the success of, but does not want to take the risk of funding.
Now, I don't know if this is confirmed, but I heard that they are funding it. Just a rumor. I didn't see any source
They're
for it,
probably
but they're
giving
funding
them some money.
I feel like the Kickstarter might have been just a thing to see if there's enough interest for it, and obviously there is.
Yeah.
Like
They hit the 12
but,
million goal, or the 12 million goal. They hit the 2 million goal in less than 12 hours. So.
they've probably hit 12 million by now, or something close to it.
I
I'm
don't
guessing.
know if they're going to get much higher because all of the stretch goals for the Kickstarter are just translation options, and people usually aren't going to donate past that 2 million if there's not like engaging stretch goals. They showed some Hitman, but all they showed was like a cinematic trailer of like Agent
Yeah,
number 47, I think.
47. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I love the Hitman games. The newer one wasn't all that great for me. It wasn't quite the same as the older Hitman games. It felt a little bit more restricted. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do with the new one because I think they got that feedback from a lot of people, so they might be changing it. And then of course, the biggest news from the Sony press conference: World of Final Fantasy looks great. So that was probably my favorite part of the
Yeah.
Sony press conference when they like hyped up. They're like, okay, now for a franchise that everybody knows and loves, and everyone's like, oh, here it comes. It's the Final Fantasy VII remake, and then they show this fucking like mobile game,
Yeah.
and they cut the camera to the crowd, and you could visibly see people like hanging.
The
their
disappointment,
heads and,
yeah,
like,
you could-
sighing. They were like people crying in the audience about
It
what they
was-
showed.
You could cut it with a knife. It was so
Oh.
palpable, man.
It was so funny. And then right after that, Final Fantasy VII remake.
You know what I think they did? I think they developed this entire game just as a fake out for Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
just
VII
as a
Remake.
troll.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
It looks
Just
like a
to
mobile
fuck
game.
with people.
I don't
Well,
even know what it is. They didn't show any game. Like they showed gameplay, but from the gameplay, you cannot decipher what the game is whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, so they showed Final Fantasy VII remake teaser trailer. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII is not my favorite Final Fantasy, and I know that's a super unpopular opinion because everybody has some kind of weird nostalgia for that game, and they think that it was way better than it was.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited for the remake though, because a lot of the graphics look like Advent Children, and I loved that movie. That movie was great. I like the story of Final Fantasy VII. I just didn't really like. Everybody's like the graphics are so good. The graphics weren't that good. Even for a PS1 game at that time, they weren't that great. I'm just
I think
hoping.
there's, it's a bit of nostalgia going on, I think.
I'm just
But
hoping
hey.
this paves the way for the Final Fantasy VIII remake. So I'm the only person that would buy that, but Buy the
Yeah,
shit out of them.
Square. I know you're watching this.
Come
Take
on.
notes.
Um, they showed some Assassin's Creed stuff in the Sony press conference.
Yeah.
Uh, oh, the big reveal of the multiplayer for Black Ops 3.
What was it?
Even more future game about war or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm so over that franchise at this point. I
I
mean,
wonder when it was that Black Ops actually stopped being about Black Ops.
yeah,
Because it didn't
it
seem like that from
it
the
never was
trailer.
about Black Ops. So Black Ops is all about like stealthy like strike missions and stuff, and Black
In
Ops is like
reality,
go
yeah.
loud as fuck, uh, kill 6 guys, and bomb your fucking enemies from an airplane above. Um, I mean, or Call of Duty always delivers really solid Call of Duty gameplay, but I don't care for that gameplay. I'm completely over it at this point. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really fair to say, "Oh, who gives a shit?" because people who like Call of Duty games give a shit. And it's good that they're at least giving people that like the Call of Duty games some fresh stuff
Yeah.
constantly. But
I mean, a lot of people expect it, so may
I
as
don't
well
really care.
cash in.
It's like a sports game at this point. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's kind of the same basic gameplay and like a slightly prettier package every year.
Pretty much.
Um,
And they showed a little Uncharted 4. They talked about the Street Fighter 5 is getting a PS4 exclusive beta, I think.
yeah,
But other than that, of course, Street Fighter, it's multi-plat as
I
always.
think it's timed exclusive for PS4. I want to
Oh yeah,
say, yeah,
maybe,
might
maybe.
be. I don't remember exactly. Um, Speaking of Uncharted, I wanted to mention this during the Microsoft part, but I forgot.
Yeah,
Rise of the Tomb Raider, they showed some more stuff. That
that's
game
right.
looks like a way better Uncharted game than Uncharted. Like Rise of the Tomb Raider is Microsoft's Uncharted game, and it looks so much better, like just graphically, than Uncharted to me. Rise of
Yeah,
the Tomb Raider looks fucking awesome. I didn't play the new Tomb Raider. I keep meaning to. I bought it. I haven't played it yet, but I heard it's great.
I've gotten pretty far in it. I haven't finished the story. I mean, it's not that long. I think the standard, maybe 7 or 8 hours,
Yeah.
but for games these days. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think some people didn't like the fact that you're spending a lot of time just like killing mooks,
Yeah.
but it's fun. I think the gunplay's pretty good. There are a lot of QTEs, so if you're not a fan of those, it might not be the game for you. But I mean, I think they're
What action game
you
doesn't
can
have
put up with
those
them,
now?
right?
Action adventure, I guess, is what
Yeah,
that
yeah,
genre would be. I think that was it for Sony, though. Last Guardian and Final Fantasy VII Remake were like their fucking money
yeah. Those
deliveries.
were the big highlights from that. Those people went crazy for those.
We didn't write this in the outline. Square Enix did a.
Yeah, they
Uh,
had a little thing. I totally missed it, so I didn't see a damn thing
yeah.
of that. Although from what I read, they just reiterated a lot of stuff that was in other conferences apparently.
Yep.
In addition to some other stuff, I assume. But
Yeah.
did you watch that at
Um,
all?
I did watch some of the Deus Ex stuff,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah. I saw that too, actually. Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
big
I
thing
did watch
coming
that.
out. There's a little bit of controversy going on right now with the new Deus Ex. For one
Oh
of the
my.
things that I really like in the presentation for Deus Ex, one of the developers says that what happened in between the last Deus Ex game and this one is basically a mechanical apartheid, which
Yeah.
I think is a fucking awesome way to describe it.
It's
Other
also
people,
accurate. Do you know what that word means?
yeah,
It literally means like being apart or being separated or something. Like that's the exact translation from. Shit, I don't want to say the word wrong, but that's what it means. That's all it means. That's it. And then people are just freaking out because that's a thing that happened to Africans like for 50 years, and it sucked. It was terrible. Yes, we know.
yeah,
But you can apply that to other situations, and there's different kinds of apartheid. I mean, there's racial apartheid, obviously. There's religious, and in this game, there's mechanical,
yeah.
right, between humans and or non-Ogs and Ogs. That's kind of the point. That's also the theme in these games that's existed at least since Human Revolution, definitely before Human Revolution in the original Deus Ex, for sure. So yeah, get
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah, it's definitely just the people that complain about every game complaining
Yeah.
about this. But I think that's a great way to describe it. That is a great way to set the tone for what's going to probably be a fucking gritty game. Uh,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I watched the some of the gameplay from that. The combat looks much more slick than it was in the last game.
yeah, Hopefully,
Stuff.
either no boss fights or better boss fights.
Well, they
Definitely, though.
specifically said that you can get through the whole game without killing anybody. They're
Okay.
very, very clear on that because in Human Revolution, you could do that for the most part, but you had to kill the bosses. You
And the
couldn't get around.
boss fights sucked, basically.
Yeah, they were pretty
They
unimpressive.
weren't. They weren't good. Uh, Square Enix, they talked about some stuff, mostly like they just covered smaller stuff. They talked about the new expansion for Final Fantasy XIV, which I think just came out today. I played Final Fantasy XIV a bit, and I kind of honestly want to play it again.
Yeah,
Just because, like, whenever an expansion comes out, it makes me want to get back into an MMO.
yeah, it's a reason to go through the game again.
But Final
Definitely.
Fantasy XIV was really fun. I didn't really like play it with anybody, so I didn't have any drive to continue giving them $15 a month to play it. But I
Yeah,
might go back to it. So
that's good to do for a month or two at a time. Anyway,
yeah.
good to see the new stuff.
So there's two more things that we want to talk about. The Nintendo conference, obviously. There wasn't like Nintendo conference was kind of a letdown,
Yeah,
which it was slated to be. Nintendo never really has a good E3 presence, I feel like. I don't know if that's because they're primarily like. I mean, obviously Sony is a Japan company, but we're
yeah.
talking like Sony of America is doing all this stuff. Nintendo, like, they work on a weird timetable or something. They never really have anything for E3. They showed the new
Well,
Star Fox.
yeah, they showed off Star Fox Zero, which I think was like kind of the big deal. That
Yeah.
was the biggest ticket item for that conference. But they did announce a bunch of other stuff. The problem is that there were games that nobody wanted, apparently. So yeah, that was kind of a thing that happened. Two new Zelda games. Well, one of them's kind of new. One of them's just Hyrule Warriors, but on 3DS.
Yeah.
Two new Metroids, and again, those were pretty unimpressive
Yeah.
for most folks.
That new Zelda game I'm actually kind of excited for because I don't know if you ever played Zelda Four Swords Adventure, but it was really fun.
I haven't played it myself. I've seen it played.
I didn't see
Yeah.
anything of that new Zelda. I just heard about it, but is there a reason that it's 3-player co-op instead of 4 or 2?
I think the only reason is because Triforce.
Okay.
I think that's it. Yeah, I don't know what the gimmick's going to be other than being three-player co-op instead of two-player co-op, but we'll see.
New Animal Crossing game.
Yeah, two
Animal
of them. In
Crossing
fact.
Mario Party.
Yeah, so that's innovative for sure. Something Nintendo is known for, right?
The coolest thing from Nintendo didn't even come from their conference. It came from the Nintendo World Championships, and that's Mario Maker. Mario Maker looks really fucking cool.
That looks like a lot of fun. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm actually looking forward to that, and I don't even own a Wii U. I think that'll be
Other than that,
something to do.
not much was expected from Nintendo at E3. Their stuff will come a couple months from now at a different convention. Basically,
Yeah.
is when they'll start
Well,
announcing.
you know,
They didn't bring any of the next Wii U Zelda, which is a bad sign for it coming out this year. But
yeah. But they always do their directs. I think they do them once a month or once every 2 months or something. But they do these little pressers to announce shit anyway.
that's why they never have anything for E3 because they always announce it so early.
Yeah.
They don't believe in saving for E3 basically. So just a bunch of disappointment from Nintendo's thing for fans of those series basically.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Metroid fans, Zelda fans, and Animal Crossing fans all got the shaft basically.
Oh, and they didn't even mention at all. I don't think they talked about the NX or whatever it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
And if you haven't heard of NX, this is their new platform that they're working on. It is not apparently a console specifically, although there might be a new machine for it. But it's going to be a thing kind of like what Microsoft wants to do with Xbox Live, where there might be a console for it, but you can also access it on multiple devices, on your phone, your computer. So it's going to be big, apparently. But yeah, they didn't mention it at all, from what I remember. That might be why they didn't go for a new kind of core Metroid game as well, like the traditional Metroid Primes,
Yeah.
or even just like an even more traditional classic Metroid.
Metroid Other
Uh,
M.
Yeah, because if they do, I think that's going to be on NX probably.
They oh fuck, I was gonna say so. They localized Mother 1 finally, which is something that people have been calling for a lot. There's a lot of Mother fans out there. Like Earthbound is Mother 3.
Yeah.
So they localized the first one. Who knows about the second one? But a lot of
We'll
people
see.
were excited about that. I think that's about it for E3. There was a PC gaming show, like I said, but it was apparently a shit show.
Apparently, it's not even worth talking about.
Yeah,
for the
it was.
start.
There were a few things announced actually. No Man's Sky is going to be coming to PC at the same time as PS4. That was announced. They talked about the new Assassin's Creed. They're actually developing it separately for PC instead of porting the console version over. And then
I'd take that with a grain of salt, though, because a lot of devs have said
Yeah.
that exact line, and you can tell when you fire up the PC version, it didn't happen. Yeah.
And then I think Microsoft talked some in the PC Gaming Show about their plans to make Windows 10 like the shit, basically. So
Yeah.
I think that's all we had for E3. I know we're having a ton of technical difficulties, but there's one last thing that we wanted to talk about before the end of the podcast that we kind of teased last week.
Yes.
And that is the original idea that I had. The reason that this podcast exists is we're going to be calling this segment the trade-in, basically. You know, kind of a poke at GameStop there. But so what we're going to do is Matt and I are each going to basically assign each other, and it's kind of flexible. Sometimes it might be the same game if neither of us have played it. Sometimes it might be a game that we've both played and want to go back to. The format is not specifically rigid, but the idea is I'm going to assign Matt a game. This week it's going to be a game that I love that he's never played. He's going to assign me a game that I've never played that he likes. We're going to play those, and then we're going to have like a week. This week we're going to have like 9 days because we're switching the day to Sunday. But
yes.
we're going to play these for a week, try and finish them, maybe not, depending on the game. And then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss those games. That's going to be the primary topic of the podcast is, you know, if it's the game that I know that he's never played, then we're going to talk about it. I'm going to like explain why I love it. He's going to tell me what he got out of it, that sort of thing. So basically, not only is it a way for us to play games that we haven't played before, maybe we wouldn't play otherwise, but it's going to spur this good conversation. We can see like maybe he likes the game, but for different reasons than I like the game. Maybe he just fucking hates the game.
Yeah, we're going to tear these games apart. And I think it's a good thing for us to do it this way, just because there's not always going to be gaming news, especially if we're doing this every week.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of stuff to talk about. There's dry spells and that kind of thing.
Especially around this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing going on.
Yeah.
So, the trade-in, look forward to that. And,
we are going to start that this week, actually. So this week, we've decided we're going to assign each other different games.
Yes.
Matt is going to be playing Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past for Super Nintendo, which is my favorite game easily. If I had to make a list of my top 3 favorite games, it would just be 2 games, and Link to the Past would take up the first and second slot for me. That's how much I love this game.
That worries me a little bit because I feel like I'm going to disappoint you in some way.
No,
but
you know what?
We'll
For me, a lot of it is nostalgia. This was the game for me when I was a kid. We had a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I played. And because, it's not like a super hard game, but it's not a really easy game. And we're talking like 10 years old. So it took me months to finish this game.
Yeah.
And we're talking like playing significant amounts of time for a 10-year-old each day. It took me forever. The game is basically split into 2 parts. And I didn't realize there was a second part. Like it took me so long to finish the first part that I thought I was done. I was like, oh, I beat the game. It's over. No. I beat like the easy early part of the game. So
well, hopefully I'll be able to figure that out without needing your advice. This is another thing. I think we're probably not going to be talking to each other about the games as we go because we want to save up everything for the actual broadcast. So if I ask you for help or something, don't just leave me alone. Tell me to fuck off.
Okay.
And so I'm looking forward to that though. I've never played any of the older, like old Zelda games, so that's definitely going to be something.
Pretty much just Wind Waker for you, right?
It's no. I'm ashamed to say I've played but not finished Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. So I have a taste of those. But I'm really bad about that kind of thing.
This is a completely different episode. I don't really care for those compared to the 2D Zeldas. Ocarina of Time, I think it's really overrated. That's a different episode. We won't talk about that right now because we're pretty much out of time.
Transistor. That is the game that I'm going to be assigning to Tony. It's a short game and it's not hard, but it's a lot of fun. Really, really cool art style. The combat system is very unique. I've never played a game before or even really seen a game that had a system like that. So, Tony, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. And it won't take you long to finish, though. It really won't.
The main reason that you wanted to assign this one to me is I played Bastion, and I didn't really care for it all that much. So I'm interested to see if Transistor can draw me in, because Bastion I don't know, it was a good game, but it didn't, draw me in.
Well, I think you'll notice some similarities. I mean, it's from the same developer.
Yeah,
There are some elements of Bastion that are present in Transistor, although it is still a very, very different game. You're
yeah,
going to notice that right away. But it's a lot of fun. There's some really cool lore to it as well. Pay attention to that stuff, the codex entries or whatever the heck they call them. You can collect little bits of that throughout the game. So yeah,
yeah.
play it, have fun with it, and yeah, like we were saying, Tony and I are going to discuss these games in depth in the next episode, and we're going to try and keep up this pattern. So every week we'll suggest to each other these games, as he said, we trade them, and then next week we talk about them.
We
That's the game plan.
I will say I don't think we've locked down what we're going to assign next week, but I think it's going to be both of us playing the same game, a game that we've never played before. I think
Yeah,
that's what
we got it. We got to put aside. That's probably what we're going to do, unless something comes up this week. We'll do that game. We'll announce what it is on the next episode, of
Yeah.
course.
And
So we'll.
I would say there's probably a good chance I'm going to beat Transistor in the week.
Oh,
Depending on how much you play it, you might not beat Link to the Past in a week.
I'll put as much time into it as I can, but yeah, you might be
It's a
right.
pretty sprawling
Oh,
game. You can beat it fast if you know what you're doing, but I
mm,
mean, if you're anything like me, you're going to be exploring the game world and taking tons of time to do everything. So,
yeah. Well, that's probably a good point to cut it off. I think
yeah,
before my PC melts.
for the
And I have to
19th
sit
time.
back out. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think we covered E3. We didn't really play anything new, just the Secret World. I bought a few games that I might talk about on the next one, not like super in depth, but the Steam Summer Sale is going on, so I've picked up a couple games.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab a few as well.
Yep, and we'll see about that. We're gonna do the trade-in next. That's gonna be the big topic for next week's.
Oh yeah.
And remember, next week we're gonna be streaming it on Sunday. I'm gonna try. This one's gonna take me a while to edit. There might be a couple turnaround days on this one. My goal is to have the podcast edited and put up by Monday evening, Tuesday morning at the latest. So we'll have more details on that later. We'll figure all this out. We'll try and figure out whatever issues we're having that are causing
Yeah.
massive problems.
I mentioned it earlier while you were being reconnected, but this hasn't happened yet. This is the first time. It's the first time, and Skype was not being gentle with me, so we'll figure it out. As usual, you can follow us on Twitter. It's at GNGN Podcast up there, and we are present on, of course, Twitch and YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel, of course, and that's where the uploaded ones go. And the website, as usual, is gngn.org. Still nothing there.
I will
We're working.
edit the Twitch channel tonight with a link to the YouTube, because I just realized that the Twitch there's no way to go from the Twitch to the YouTube, basically. So I will be adding that in so that people can find the YouTube channel. Other than that, I think that's about all that we've got. So
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't forget to